I walked in Shackled, but the alien queen stood up when she recognized my voice. Even wounded and exhausted, he walked straight, his head held high. The throne chamber of the Valorian Empire was vast beyond imagination. Towering pillars curved upward like the ribs of some ancient beast. Floating lights drifted slowly near the ceiling, casting a pale glow over rows of nobles and commanders seated on raised platforms. Their eyes followed the human with open hostility, curiosity, or quiet fear. Humans were rare here. Humans were dangerous. The guards escorting him were tall, armored aliens with long crested helmets and weapons humming with restrained power. They treated the prisoner carefully, not out of kindness but caution. This was no ordinary captive. This was a human who had crossed borders that should never have been crossed. At the far end of the hall sat the queen, Queen Zyril of Veloria. She was seated upon a throne grown from living crystal, sharp and elegant, glowing faintly with inner light. Her posture was perfect, her expression unreadable. Silver markings traced her dark blue skin, symbols of lineage and authority. Her eyes, bright and piercing, watched the human approach without emotion. She had presided over thousands of trials, none like this. The guard stopped the human at the center of the chamber. One of them struck the floor with the butt of his weapon. "Kneel," the guard commanded. The human did not move. A ripple of murmurs spread through the hall. Some nobles leaned forward. Others stiffened, expecting punishment. The guard raised his weapon again, but before it could strike, a single sharp gesture from the throne halted him. The queen spoke, her voice calm and controlled. "He will stand." He was tall for a human, though thinner than he should have been. His clothing was torn and stained from capture and transport. Dried blood marked his temple, and his left shoulder hung slightly lower than the right. Still, there was something unbroken about him, something steady. "State your name," the queen said. The human lifted his head slightly, meeting her gaze. His eyes were tired but clear. "My name is Elias Ward," he said. His voice carried easily through the hall. It was calm, controlled, not loud but confident enough that every word was heard. A few nobles scoffed. "A single human name," one whispered. "As if it matters." "You are accused of crossing imperial space without permission, disabling 3 patrol vessels, and interfering in matters of war. Do you deny these charges?" "Then why," she asked, "did you do it?" Then his eyes returned to the queen. "Your fleets are moving toward human space," he said. "Your commanders believe war is inevitable. I came to stop that. I think empires stop themselves when they stop listening." Humans twist words. "You speak as if you know my people," she said. "I do," Elias replied. "From where?" she asked. Elias paused. "For a moment," he said, "I was afraid you would ask that." The Ashen Reach was a name spoken only in history records and memorial halls, a battlefield where thousands had died, a place the queen herself had not visited since her rise to the throne. Her breath caught just barely. "Continue," she said, her voice suddenly sharper. Elias nodded. "I was there during the final collapse," he said, "when the skies burned and the ground broke apart. Because," he said softly, "I remember how you said my name wrong. You said human sounds were difficult when you were bleeding and trying not to pass out." "Who told you this?" she demanded. "No one," Elias said. "You did, on an open channel when your command ship was breaking apart. Just like you asked me to." The queen raised her hand, silencing them. She looked at the human standing in chains before her chest tight with a realization she had never expected. The trial was no longer what it seemed, and the galaxy was about to remember what a human voice could do. The silence in the throne hall did not fade quickly. It pressed down on everyone present, thick and heavy, as if the walls themselves were listening. Nobles who had once whispered with confidence now sat rigid and unsure. Commanders avoided looking at one another. Guards held their weapons but did not raise them. At the center of it all stood Elias Ward, still shackled, still calm. The Queen of Veloria remained standing. She had not sat back down. That alone sent fear rippling through the court. "Clear the outer chamber," Queen Zyril said at last. The words were quiet, but they carried absolute authority. Several nobles reacted at once. "Your Majesty." The great doors sealed shut with a deep echo that rolled through the hall. Queen Zyril stepped down from the raised platform. Every step she took toward Elias felt unreal. She stopped a few paces from him and studied his face closely. The lines of exhaustion, the small scar near his eyebrow, the eyes that never dropped from hers, too familiar. "You said you were at the Ashen Reach," she said. "Describe what you saw." "Your crew was evacuating, but you were trapped." She remembered smoke filling the corridors, emergency lights flickering, her leg pinned under fallen metal, pain sharp enough to blur her vision, and a voice, steady, human. "You're going to be fine," the voice had said. "Stay with me, breathe slow." I kept talking so it wouldn't drop. Soon only the queen, the guards at a distance, and Elias remained. Queen Zyril stepped even closer now, lowering her voice. "You could have left," she said. "Humans retreat when survival demands it. And I knew you were still trying to give orders even while bleeding. Leaders don't deserve to die alone. I remember telling you my people would never forgive a human for being there," she said. "You were wrong," Elias replied. "Your people are still alive. I came to speak before weapons spoke first." "Do you understand what you are asking?" she said. "If I spare you, I challenge my own court, my own military." "You speak as if you already knew the cost," she said. "I did," Elias replied. "That's why I walked in." Not laughter, but close. She turned away, pacing slowly. "When I was trapped," she said, "you told me stories." "I never asked your rank," she said. "Because it didn't matter," Elias replied. "I wasn't there as a soldier, I was there as a voice." "But courage creates allies." "Your Majesty." "Summon the High Council," she ordered, "and prepare a broadcast channel." It wasn't mine. Outside, the low hum of engines filled the air as ships repositioned above the capital world. What had once been a controlled trial had turned into something far more dangerous. Queen Zyril stood still, listening. "Confirm the source," she ordered. A guard touched his wrist console. "Signals originate from the deep vaults beneath the capital," he said. "The ancient fleet chambers." "You said the ship that saved you was not human," she said. "You said it was ancient." Screens flickered to life around the chamber, showing sealed vault doors far beneath the palace beginning to unlock. One counselor spoke sharply. "This activation was unauthorized," he said. "Only the Queen may." He provoked this. "Then ask yourselves," he said, "why it is waking now." "You mean," the Queen said slowly, "it does not see humans as the enemy." "You knew this," she said. "You knew waking the fleet was possible. Humans create chaos and call it peace." Their designs were smooth and unfamiliar, glowing with old energy signatures that modern scanners struggled to understand. One by one, they lifted from their resting places, silent and patient. "They're forming a perimeter," a technician said. "Not attacking, just watching. Including ours and humanity's. And your species. Human Command is requesting direct communication." His eyes flicked briefly to Elias. "Is he alive?" the Admiral asked. "Yes," the Queen said. The Admiral exhaled in relief. "He warned us," the Admiral said, "about the fleet, about what fear would wake." "You spoke to both sides," she said. "I tried," Elias replied. The Admiral leaned forward. "Your Majesty," he said, "the fleet will not hold forever. It is waiting for a signal, a choice. You prepared for it. Now the cost stands before you." "Your Majesty." "Prepare a joint declaration," she ordered. "Valoria and humanity, immediate cease of all offensive movement." For the first time since he had walked into the throne hall in chains, he allowed himself a small breath of hope. But deep within the ancient ships, something shifted. A new signal formed, and the fleet began preparing its final test. The stars were quiet. Across the galaxy, fleets from dozens of species sat frozen in place, surrounded by the ancient ships that glowed like patient guardians. No weapons fired, no orders moved ships forward. The ancient fleet waited. Inside the Valorian throne hall, silence ruled again, but this time it was different. It was no longer the silence of judgment. It was the silence before a choice. Elia's ward stood free at the center of the chamber. His wrists were no longer bound, but he did not feel lighter. The weight he carried now was far heavier than chains. Queen Zyril stood beside him, her gaze fixed on the holographic display showing the ancient fleet spread across the stars. "They are waiting," she said softly. "Yes," Elias replied. "They always do." "What kind of test?" "That is surrender," one shouted. "That is weakness," another snapped. Queen Zyril raised her hand, silencing them instantly. "No," she said firmly, "that is courage." "Your Majesty," one pleaded, "if we do this we lose leverage, we lose fear." On the opposite side of the galaxy, human fleets followed. The human admiral's voice came through the channel again, steady but emotional. "Human forces standing down," he reported. "All weapons offline." But the test was not over. A new message appeared. One more step. Trust must be shown. The Queen's eyes narrowed. "They want more," she said. Elias nodded. "They want someone to step forward," he said. "Without armor, without fleets, without protection." Before anyone could stop him, Elias walked forward toward the center platform where the ancient signal pulsed. "Elias," the Queen said sharply. He stopped and looked back at her. "This is why I came," he said. "I won't ask anyone else to do it." "You may not return," she said. Elias gave a small, gentle smile. "Neither of us did last time," he said. He turned back to the console and placed his hand on it. "I am Elias Ward," he said clearly. "Human, pilot, voice." Its surface shimmered as a beam of light formed, not a weapon but a path. The Queen stepped forward. "No," she said, "you will not go alone. And my people owe you their future." Because fear almost won, and we chose differently. Pattern confirmed. The light softened. Images appeared around them, past wars, destroyed worlds. Then new images, fleets lowering weapons, borders opening, hands reaching instead of striking. The cycle may pause, the watch will continue. The beam faded. Elias and Queen Zyril stood once more in the throne hall. Across the galaxy, the ancient fleet began to move away, returning slowly to its resting places. The stars felt open again. A single final message echoed through every channel. The voice that stood will be remembered. Cheers did not erupt. Instead, something deeper spread, relief, awe, and understanding. Queen Zyril turned to Elias. "You changed the throne," she said. "No," Elias replied. "You stood up from it." They spoke of the day war paused, not because of power but because someone spoke when silence would have been easier. And among the stars, the ancient fleet slept again, listening, waiting, for the next voice brave enough to stand.